Hi, thank you so much for taking the time to hop on this video. Likely the person who shared this with you thinks that you might have something in common with me, or there's something about my story you can relate to, or maybe hopefully find some inspiration from. My name is Jamie Kinsey. A little background about me is I'm a wife, I'm a mom of three. My background is in occupational therapy. I'm an avid CrossFitter. And there's so much more about my story. So I'm just going to open up the invitation to you in an effort to make this concise today, is that if you want to dig a little bit deeper into my story, or something you think that we might connect with, please don't hesitate. Whoever shared this with you, I'm happy to hop on a call or on a Zoom and meet you and talk through it a little bit more. So this is specifically in relationship to my Juice Plus journey with both the product and deciding to share it. So the product came into my life back in 2003. I was working in long-term care as an occupational therapist. And I believe I found myself there because I was somebody who was chronically sick as a kiddo, primarily with asthma and allergies. By the age of 25, worked myself up to 8 different prescription medications, one of those being birth control. I wasn't ready to have a family at that time, but I knew I did want to have a family eventually. And I was on an anti-anxiety medication at the time as well. So I just thought that was a genetic card I had been dealt. I was the kiddo who, for the first 4 years of life, spent some time in the hospital each year, primarily with either a pneumonia or a croup of some sort. So a lot of respiratory issues. I had food sensitivities. I was allergic to eggs. And then as I got older, we discovered I was allergic to eating poultry, so chicken and turkey. I never tried duck. It's in the same family, so I just stayed away from it. And what else with my foods? That was primarily it. So those are my food sensitivities. Had exercise-induced asthma, in addition to just, asthma being around environmental toxins too long. And I had animal allergies, which was sad. We had dogs that were outside. So I couldn't be around them too long, but I did love my dogs growing up. So that is kind of the picture of where I was. I just thought it was the genetic card I'd been dealt and really didn't understand that I could heal all of this. Looking back now, I think a lot of it had to do with a gut dysbiosis or just an imbalance of the bacteria in my gut, but we'll get to that. So health profession wise, I think that's why I found myself there, because I wanted to help people not walk through what I had walked through up to that point. And I always was just trying to figure out how I could optimize my health from where I was. And that's led me into just a greater interest today in things like biohacking. How can we live our most optimal lives for as long as possible? And so as an occupational therapist, how I even heard about Juice Plus in the first place was I call myself an open skeptic. So I was a vitamin junkie at the time. Back then, sadly, I was easily, influenced by what was on the magazines or the TVs, what the celebrities were doing. I didn't have social media back then, but it was very comparable to today in people following influencers and what influencers are doing. Influencers are not scientists, they're not doctors. Sometimes they are, but it's difficult to decipher. It's more difficult to decipher today than when I first was introduced to Juice Plus back in 2003. So I had a coworker who introduced me. She had shared with me she had been on the product for 2 years, and after a year got off all her asthma and allergy medicines in her 50s. And that was huge to me because I'd heard of people growing out of those things, but I hadn't, and she obviously hadn't until then. And the game changer was, these fruits and vegetables in a capsule. And so it really intrigued me. I wanted to try it. But she was not a Juice Plus distributor. She was a happy customer. Her mom had a phenomenal story of being bedbound and being able to get off bedbound after a year as well. And so she didn't even know who to refer me to because she met somebody at a booth and just kept getting the product in the mail. So just remember, about 19 years ago, it was not cool to put your credit card online. So I was in this position where I wanted something, but I didn't know how to get it, which probably made me want it more. And my coworker was so sweet. She gave me a bottle of each of hers to get started. And it was the same time, I know life happened for me. And my sister gave me a call, and she had been out at the bar with a nurse friend of hers. And her nurse friend said, Jess, I think I found something that could help your asthma and your allergies. It's called Juice Plus. So it's just kind of crazy because we're on opposite ends of the state and we're hearing similar stories from, familiar medical professionals to us. And I just thought that was a sign. So I called my sister's nurse friend to order Juice Plus. And what she shared with me is, Jamie, you have a big family, you love helping people. It's just fruits and vegetables. Doesn't it make sense to offset your costs? Like, you should share this with me. So again, for $50 then, $52 today, that was not a big deal. And what 20-year-old doesn't want the best price for something, right? I was still trying to learn how to live on my paycheck, all that kind of stuff in my 20s. And so I said yes to getting it for the best price, but I really genuinely wanted to know more. I have learned through being a part of this that I'm a knowledge seeker. Like, I love learning. So the research totally spoke to me, and I can totally geek out with you about the research, but I'm not going to do that today. But it was such an aha moment for me to realize that what I'm putting in my body should have proof that, number one, it's getting it in my bloodstream, and number two, that when it gets in there, it does good things. And that is what this product does. So we are up to, I think we're by the end of this year, up to 47 published studies on our product showing that it gets in your bloodstream, and when it gets in there, it does some really great things. So for me specifically, the things that stood out were the immune system study, the lung function study, and I got to see it for my own experience. So being on 8 prescription medications at 25, within 6 months, learning about this, taking Juice Plus, obviously I was making some tweaks also to my diet as I was better understanding the importance of fruits and vegetables. I was adding some of those in. I always was somebody who liked to exercise, and I continued to do that through that process. So it was just another like layer to my holistic care. And the Juice Plus just it like leveled me up in such a big way. So within 6 months, I was off all of my asthma and my allergy and my anxiety medication. And that was huge because I worried what all those drugs would do in my bloodstream, especially when I wanted to start to try to have a family. So speaking of having a family, I had 3 super healthy pregnancies. And I really was not only taking Juice Plus, but by that time I was learning more and more with each pregnancy. I was learning the relationship between nutrition and disease, and prevention and nutrition, and how to optimize those things. This community has such a big and broad, how do I want to say it? We have such a big, broad expertise, from doctors to pharmacists to surgeons, like the whole gamut. We have different medical professionals who stand up and talk about this product and how foundational it is. It isn't the end all be all. I'm not saying that at all. Our family still gets sick from time to time, but largely it's because of some of the other factors, right? Maybe we're not sleeping enough. Maybe we're not getting enough water. Maybe we're stressing out. Maybe we haven't been in nature very much. Maybe we haven't been exercising. Maybe it was a celebration. We ate a bunch of stuff we shouldn't have been eating. All of those factors play a role in our immune system, right? And so the Juice Plus, I always think, man, it would be so much worse if we wouldn't have this in our system. So I'm forever grateful. It's about being better, not perfect. It's about progress, not perfection. And the research shows me for sure what is happening in my bloodstream for myself and my kiddos. And I'm forever grateful for that. There is not another product out there. And I've looked at a lot over the last 19 years to see, what has NSF certification, what has that on your label, ensuring what you're putting in your body is in there, and that there's no banned substances and that there's no contaminants. There are some really great brands that have it, but not very many. And we're one of the brands that do carry that. And then to take it a step further, and I unfortunately haven't found another product to have the medical research that's behind the product showing it is in people's bloodstream, that it is getting in there, and then all the positive things that it's doing. So I come here to you today to share, for me, it became the more of those things I learned because I was open to learning. Like, I showed up, I went to a place with complete strangers that it was weird, but like, I just was so interested. And I also knew where I was career-wise. I wanted to have more time with my kiddos. I wanted to have kiddos, number one, and I wanted to be more available for them. And I wanted them, right? I think we try to help each generation to be better, right? And I had a great childhood, don't get me wrong, but there were some things coming from a family of 5, or a family of 7, there were 5 of us kiddos, that my parents were limited, as a teacher and a UPS man. they were limited, to allow us to do or to experience. And so I wanted to be able to travel and take my kids on airplanes. My parents just weren't able to do that. They did an amazing job. I wanted to be able to allow my kids to play select sports or have hobbies and interests, and us to be able to afford those and not have to tell them no. I wanted to be able to pick whatever school we wanted for our kiddos. And we ended up moving out of my hometown because of this business. I had the opportunity to be able to do that, and just to allow my kids more opportunities for more than I was ever given. So this became a vehicle that allowed me to have a passion in people's health. And then it allowed me to fulfill some of those goals and dreams that I had for my family that my corporate career would have never allowed me to do. I was tapped out. I could have kept trading more time for dollars, taking PRN jobs, which I did a lot at the beginning of my career. But I wanted to be the one raising my kiddos. And so I just think in this climate today, I'm going to invite you, the person who shared this with you probably didn't invite you to hear this part of it. They probably wanted to hear, asthma and allergies and how I was benefited. And there's so much more. Again, I could tell you a story for each one of my family members, not only, my kiddos and my husband, but I could tell you a story about my mother-in-law. I could tell you a story about my own mom and my own dad, my grandma. So it's, you could take the paycheck away. Like what this product has done for my family is, I'll forever be grateful. But the business side, I'm not an entrepreneurial, I wasn't exposed to a lot of entrepreneurs, can't even say it. I like it, it's been such a blessing for personal growth for me. I was somebody who was a little bit more insecure in myself. I had some childhood traumas that I've gotten to work through and deal with and realize my strengths in those, and found my voice and found a passion, something. I'm a little bit more introverted. So something that somebody who's a little bit, introvert, extrovert, like I actually want to talk to in front of people. Doesn't mean the nerves go away, but it just means that I'm really passionate and I have a platform and I have something to say. And so this business has allowed me to travel, what I always wanted to do. It's allowed me to be present, probably from the time when my youngest was born, probably within 6 months, I was able to completely step away from my career as a therapist. Like my income with Juice Plus had replaced my salary as a therapist, and it has since exceeded it. Now that's not everybody's goal. I'm at the top 1% of our company. So, it's possible 110%. But I work hard and I love what I do. And you're a blessing, whether you do a little bit or a lot. And there's times where I've done a little and there's times I've done a lot, but this vehicle of being able to tap into, not only have a customer base, but tap into, leverage the efforts of others. There are other people like me, it turns out, in the world who also love helping people and have this passion for their own family first. And then it spills over and they share it with other people. As a medical professional, I just found it unethical for me not to offer it. From the therapy standpoint, I felt like once I understood that Function was getting 7 to 13 servings of fruits and vegetables every day, in variety, we are all falling far short of get a Function of 7 to 13. So Juice Plus is an adaptation. So it helps us to adapt and to bridge that gap and to get the full spectrum of fruits and vegetables we need on a daily basis. But it doesn't end there. It's not just an adaptation. The brilliant thing about Juice Plus is what happens is called metabolic reprogramming. So it actually helps to retrain our cells to what is good. And we start to crave and be more open to those actual foods. So people who take Juice Plus end up eating more fruits and vegetables. Don't you want your kids to eat more fruits and vegetables? This has been such a brilliant thing for me to shape my kiddos' tastes. My kids have liked veggies from the very beginning. I would say we had asparagus the other day and Ethan was like, oh, I don't love it. We pick and choose. I don't like bananas, right? And I told Ethan, I go, I didn't like it either. I said, but it makes us, it makes us healthier. So we eat it, and we don't eat it every night. We try to get things in different seasons. So anyway, that is a long way of telling you my story, but I'm forever grateful for the product. Number one, first and foremost, hands down. In the business, I would not be the wife I am, the mom I am, the friend I am. I would not be as confident of a person. I wouldn't know myself as well as I know myself today had it not been for this business. So through those challenging times, I have had to do the hard and the hard work, I'm grateful for it. I'm better for it. And so I think we're living through this time where people like avoid pain and they at all costs. And I think that's the wrong direction. I think we need to learn how to make it through. Like it makes us stronger, right? Like diamonds are made under pressure. And so not that I'm seeking pressure, but I'm able to handle it. I'm able to take it. I'm able to handle it. I'm able to move through it. And I become better and stronger because of it. And this business has given me a vehicle to do that. And I get to role model that for my kiddos. And so I never expect my kids to have things easy. I want them to be able to do hard things. And I help to set them up with that mindset that, you either win or you learn. That's one of our mantras in our house, but also like, you can do hard things. Good thing you're Kinsey because you can do hard things really well. And that's the mindset that I want them to have. And hopefully that has helped you today as well. And again, if you're interested in connecting with me one-on-one, I'm totally open to it. I hope my stories inspired you and I hope to see you sometime soon.